the High Court in Johannesburg will today hear former President Jacob Zuma and Correctional Services Department's application to have a leave for appealing a court ruling that found his release on medical parole unlawful. Former Correctional Services Commissioner, you remember, Fraser, back in September, granting Zuma medical parole. That decision was successfully challenged in court by parties including the DA and AfriForum. Our senior reporter, Malungelo Booi, is on the story. He's live to us now in studio ahead of those proceedings. And you get a sense that it's the first step of many other steps to come. Yeah. What do we know about what the thrust of the former president's argument is?
So essentially what former President Jacob Zuma's lawyers and those of the Correctional Services Department have to do today is really to prove that the High Court ruling was wrong, that the judge was wrong in his decision to send Jacob Zuma back to court. We know he's trying not to go back to prison. So essentially, as you rightfully read out, that, he was granted this medical parole by Arthur Fraser in September. Right. Now, at the heart of that, that's why we saw this decision being challenged, was that a lot of people are saying, including the DA, AfriForum, and also the Helen Suzman Foundation, saying that essentially no, the former president does not meet the requirements of this medical parole. But Correctional Services is saying that no, hold on. The Correctional Services Act of 1998 does allow the commissioner to grant an offender a medical parole, even if that offender has been in prison for serving a sentence of less than 24 months. But also we know, though, at the heart of this is whether former President Jacob Zuma is really sick. A lot of those organizations are saying that actually he's not sick. And we know last week the court said that, in fact, Arthur Fraser was wrong in his decision to grant former president this medical parole. In fact, the court has gone as far as to say, if you interpret that, in fact, it was not his place to actually even grant him medical parole. They're saying that the parole board is the statutory body that should have made a recommendation on this. There was no recommendation on this, that the former president must be granted this medical parole.
Absolutely. In fact, there is on the records no medical doctor who's come forward to say that the former president is terminally ill. Sure. I saw videos of him on social media looking perfectly fine, but I'm no doctor myself.
But that's also something that came out in this ruling last week. I mean, the judge was also referencing some of the media reports that, the former president was seen at a casino in KwaZulu-Natal interacting with some of his allies. Here we're talking about Carl Niehaus and also Dudu Myeni. And at some point he was also seen addressing some people or some of his supporters. And therefore, then there's that question whether is he really, really sick? Is he terminal ill? Is he there?
Yeah, is he eligible?
Exactly. Yeah. And a lot of parties are actually saying that he's not. And the court also saying that actually he's not eligible for this.
All right. Malungelo Booi, our senior reporter watching that story. Thanks very much indeed for much needed context. As soon as those proceedings begin, I understand it'll take place virtually. We'll bring as much of it to you here on Newzroom Afrika.